Hello everyone. Let's proceed on to the next chapter, Secularism of NCERT Political Theory. The concept of secularism, it is concerned with inter-religious and intra-religious domination. But basically, the concept of secularism itself is a fruit child of the unpredictability of the world. Look, this thing is very simple. The basic foundation of secularism, the basic foundation of living itself, it is that we, the Homo sapiens, when we go by living, when we um, spend our day, when we work, when we sleep, when we eat, and when the other things that concern us, the other things that are attached to us, that are executed. So in such a scenario, the when you do something, something will happen. So it's basic physical law of this universe, the Newton's third law. That every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Or even in simpler terms, if you do something, something will happen. So you do a lot of things, and those lot of things are followed by their consequences or their results. And most of the results that are predictable, most of the results that are sought and desired, such as if you are preparing for civil services examination, so you are putting action, you are putting day and night, you are burning midnight oil, and the outcome that is desired by you is uh, to be selected in such coveted positions, maybe administrative officer, police officer, as a diplomat, as an ambassador, or as in other secretariat-based services. So those are the outcomes that are sought by you, and it happens. Most of the people who put best of their efforts, and if everything goes as per the time sequence, they get what they want. They get what they put their efforts for. But sometimes some actions or some outcomes are not desired by us. Some consequences that we had not seen. So such is the unpredictability of life that sometimes we become speechless. Sometimes we are dumbfounded. So in essence, we the intelligent species of the world, or we the Homo sapiens, I'm not emphasizing the intelligent part of us. We are similar to the all other species. Even I won't differentiate myself from any mountain dust or any water molecule, or any other element. But my point is that we have really made now we have really breached many frontiers. So right now, like you may talk about artificial intelligence, or machine learning, or nanotechnology, genetic engineering, plastic engineering, making good and advanced polymers, advanced smartphones and electronic gadgets. And we are making robots. We are sending people to space. So in the intelligent and technological frontier, we are doing a lot. But still, there are some questions that we do not that are the answer of which we do not know. There are certain realities that we are not capable to grasp. The loss, separation, the the idea or the occurrence of death, financial, spiritual, psychological, physical losses. So such unpredictability of life, it is uh, it is still far beyond our grasp. We are not able to reach to the bottom of what causes such thing. So in such a case, if the advanced scientists, the people with the resources, with the people with the manpower, those who can really get into the bottom of such thing, even they are clueless about it. So a layman, a common people who is making his ends meet, or a common middle class man who is doing a 9 to 5 job, or all such, whichever class you belong to. So you are unlikely to have an idea and a bottom attached idea of how the unpredictability of life works and how and why it works. So in that scenario, people tend to divert their attention. People tend to shift their gaze from technology, from science, from rationality to the mysteries of life. And when their gaze is shifted to such mysteries, the components or the atmosphere that gets associated with this mystery seeking behavior is religion. It is the idea of God. It is the idea of divinity. It is the idea of superiority of life. It is uh, the favors of his spiritualism. So when men do not have any answer, he turns to the religion. So religion become an inseparable part of our lives. And most of us, somewhere in our life, we we are get shaken by such unpredictable nature of life. And it happens that the people who are deeply shaken by such mysteries, who are deeply uprooted from their own rational behavior or the linearity of their thinking, they once in their life they shift their gaze to religion. So religion is an important part. So this is how religion works. And then there are a lot of theories and there are a lot of perspectives, opinions about lots of praises and criticism, and all of those things will follow, had followed, and will follow. But the basic idea is that secularism is concerned with religion, and religion is an outcome of man's desire to get an attachment with the unpredictability of life. Now, as having explained the root of secularism, now come to the rational part of our life. So it's not that our whole life is a roller coaster. No, they are very predictable. Even the very act of you preparing for civil services examination, your preparation, it is based on some predictable outcome. That if you put good many hours, if you grasp the basics with a keen touch, with a fine grip, and if you put hours with dedication and sincere mentality, you are going to clear the examination. And yes, that happens. It's not a big brainer thing. It's not whole rocket science. Everyone who puts in action, the actions will be followed by results or consequences, whether positive or negative. And in your very act of preparing, it it is a positive action and it will be followed by positive results. So when most of the part of our life it is predictable, the predictable part it is followed by the desire to live together in a meaningful existence. And that's why there are so many ideas of equality, freedom, justice, liberty, social justice, affirmative actions. And when such ideas appear, and when there are too many people or a lot of people with similar ideas, they they will sit together, they will talk it out, they will discuss upon it, and that's how politics is born. And when people themselves are discussing this thing, and when there is no other ruler, no external force, or no outward attachment to it, so in that case, it's people's voice, it's people's choice. So if it is about people, so this will become democratic. This is the democracy. So in our case, we are talking about democratic politics. When things are predictable, things are rational, and or the things are predictable in a way that they may appear to be challenging, or they may appear to be going in a different way or taking a different course, still we, with our fine mind, with our acumen and human ingenuity, we can find a way out. We can figure the way out. So this problem solving or the critical thinking skill, it makes us sit together. This makes us talk, and it's it's a basic proverb that two minds are better than one. So democracy is uh, is based on that principle, that if there are millions of or billions of minds, and all those millions of minds are sitting together and talking over a thing and finding a solution, it may take a time, but millions of minds are better than a fewer minds. So this the achieved idea, the achieved solution, it will be million times better than those achieved by a few men. But when concerning about secularism and democratic politics, we know that the any any particular group of people, whichever country they are living in, and if I talk about India, so people living in any area, politics comes later. First, it is something related to their birth. So they are natal characteristics. So those natal characteristics, first of which is culture. So it is culture that people is emotionally attached to, and culture is the product of geography. So if a country is geographically diverse, it will have diverse cultures. And if a particular group of people, they have come together to to seek uniformity or to seek a common way of life, it's like coming together of many cultures, coming together of many nationalities. As I already told you or explained this principle in the previous chapter of nationalism. So nation nationalism is having an attachment or having a good conscience or relating oneself with the idea of a nation. And the nation itself, it it is to live with like-minded, or to live with people who you share your house, your surrounding with, to live with people who you share your surrounding with. And now comes the caveat, which is you will share your surrounding with people, or only those people who you feel comfortable with. And you will feel comfortable with those people who either have a positive outlook or who share similar features. So both of these things, having positive outlook or sharing similar feature, this is the homogeneity of a culture. So a Kashmiri is very likely to live with another Kashmiri, because both of them, they have a similarity of lifestyle, similarity of cultural attributes. But a Kashmiri can live with someone who has a positive outlook. And the dimensions of positive outlooks, first will be tolerance, second will be live and let live, and third will be optimism. There are other dimensions also, but let's talk about these three: tolerance, live and let live, and optimism. And all such attributes, all such dimensions of positive outlook, if they are ingrained in a person or in a group of people, so whether it is a Kashmiri or a Bengali or a Rajasthani or a Tamil or a Dravidian or an Odia, or a Gujarati, they will accept such a group of people or such individual if even if they are not homogeneous, even if they are heterogeneous, if you do not have you do not have any problem living with them, you will certainly coexist with them. So this is how the world works, and this is how India has worked so far. The ancient civilization or ancient India that has been boasted about, or the talk for which have gathered and steamed up people during the freedom struggle, uh, it has its root in all these positive attributes, that we had tolerance, we peacefully coexisted together. Now, coming back to the topic, so the culture thing, nations are formed by culture. India is geographically diverse, there are many cultures, and because of such uh, cultural characteristic or cultural attributes of people, many people of different shades, so many people of different lifestyle, they have existed together, they have coexisted, and this is how the Indian nation state have formed. Now this coexistence thing, it is both interreligious and intra-religious. Interreligious is between religions or between sections, I would say. So between sections of people, not sections of religion. So this intersection thing, such as between Hindu and Muslim, between Muslim and Christian, between Christian and Parsi, between Parsi and Jain and Buddhism, we are lot many. And intra-religious, it is more about, or intersectional, it is more about individual, such as even in Hinduism, it is parity between higher caste and lower caste, between OBC and SC, between men and women, between lower Dalits and higher Dalits. So a hierarchy is there, but intra-religious coexistence or intra-religious tolerance, it means that all such hierarchies of all such different people, they will exist together, maybe not in a peaceful way, but in a non-intervening way. That their life, their way about, their working, it will not be interfering to. In the same way, the intersectional or interreligious coexistence, it is that all different sections or groups of or religions, they exist in a non-intervening way. Now let's proceed on to the next NCERT book. What is secularism? And the first concept in it is interreligious domination. In our country, the constitution declared that every Indian citizen has a right to live with freedom and dignity. So this life, right to life with freedom and dignity, it also inculcates a right to have our own spiritual experience, right to live with the religion of our choice. But some form of exclusion and discrimination continues to persist. And three such examples have been given here, such as in 1984, after the assassination of Indira Gandhi, many Sikhs were massacred, and then there the plight or the flight of Kashmiri Pandits during 1990s, and the Godhra riots in Gujarat in 2002. So such examples show that, and we have recent such small skirmishes, small um, instances of discrimination here and there, such as the Dadri issue and UP, the hotbed of such communal politics. We keep hearing about such issues every now and then. Yes. Now, in each case, each of such cases, members of one community are targeted and victimized on account of their religious identity. So, so the five such instances where people from one community they have had to face the brunt. It was not because they did something. It was not because of some rational reason. It was because they had a religious identity which was different from those those of others. Now, secularism is the first and foremost doctrine that opposes all such forms of interreligious domination. So, secularism it says no to all such forms of violent, coercive, and interventionist dominations. Next, religious secularism, it not only opposes interreligious domination, it also opposes interreligious domination. So what intra-religious domination is? Well, the phrase opium of the masses by Karl Marx, it says that when the people, when basic needs of people are fulfilled, they have a happy life, religion will disappear. Other than that, it acts as the opium that intoxicates people to do anything that may not be rational. But it is unlikely that human beings will ever be able to fully know the world and control it. So it is our limitation. However intelligent we may become, we will certainly be we will certainly have something. We will have many pockets of the metaphysical knowledge that we will never be able to gauge, or we will never be able to know. So such incompetence or such incapacity, it leads people to the ideas of religion. And other than that, we are also immortal. So disease can never be entirely eliminated. We will only have newer forms of a newer strains of a newer kinds of disease or newer kinds of such pathogens, such viruses, the COVID-19, the antimicrobial resistance, and recently the talks of SARS virus. All such are the indications that the disease it will keep transforming itself. The pathogens they will continue to evolve. They may be newer strains, they may be newer variety, or maybe they may be newer viruses that we have never known, and such may emerge from the picture. So take the case of the thawing of frost. So many of us know that the glaciers are melting, and the glaciers of all the three poles, the North Pole, the South Pole, and the Hindu Kush Himalaya, that also include Tibetan Plateau. So the three poles, the third pole, it is only an official and unofficial is casual recognition. So at all the three places, we have thousands of kilometers of thick ice, and such ice volume, it keeps the volume the temperature of Earth at around 15 degrees centigrade. So this is Earth. Here it is North Pole. It is South Pole here, and this is the area where Hindu Kush Himalayas are there. So in all three such locations, we may collectively call them cryosphere. So such cryosphere, when the average temperature is minus 40 degrees centigrade, such existence of the frozen conditions, they maintain the overall temperature of Earth around 15 degrees centigrade, and this had been the Goldilocks temperature of Earth that ensures survival and continuation of not only Homo sapiens but all other species. But since we have already breached this temperature up to 17 degrees centigrade and 17.5 degrees centigrade, so we have breached the optimum temperature by 2.5 degrees centigrade. So these glaciers or this ice, it is thawing. Thawing means it is melting. So now the case is that these glaciers, they have been there for millions of years, and if you know the concept of stratigraphy, it says stratigraphy, it means the study of layers. So it is not a very big concept to understand that if layers upon layers have been accumulated like in a mound, so the youngest layers will be that on the top, and the oldest will be that on the bottom. So it will be the oldest layer. Now the problem is when the ice melts, the first to melt are the youngest layers. This this one and this one. But since the if ice melts, it also uh, intensify the melting of the adjacent layers of the next layer. In short, if the first layer melts, it will also exacerbate or intensify the melting of the second layer, and this will be like a chain reaction. So the first initiator, the first trigger, it may set off a chain reaction in which it will be no long that before the bottom layer will also melt. But since the bottom layer, it is the oldest one, it is also the layer that has a lot of pathogens that are deeply buried within its fold. We may not know how many pathogens, how many zoonoses. I am talking about bacteria and viruses and many such microorganisms. So it may be a case that the ice, it has preserved or frozen such pathogens for millions of years. And since microorganisms, we still have a lot to go for, a lot to study about their own existence or their evolution. We may not know such. There may be so many such pathogens that are evolving in such ice condition. You may have heard about tardigrades or many such extremophiles. So these are the species that can exist and survive in extreme environmental conditions, such as tardigrade. It can survive between 150 degrees centigrade, 100 degrees minus 100 degrees centigrade to 150 degrees centigrade. So this is the bottom temperature up to which it can survive, and this is the maximum temperature. And it's a lot. It can survive a whole temperature range of 250 degrees centigrade. It can survive in deep vent. It can survive unmeasurable, unimaginable pressure and temperatures. So if such extremophiles are there may be some species, some pathogens that can survive in such freezing temperature around minus 50 degrees centigrade. And if that is the case, because this is a black hole for us, we do not know how many pathogens or how many species are there which have existed in such oldest fold. If the ice, because of the global temperature increase or global warming, it keeps melting, such such layers will thaw, such layer will clear away, and with it, such pathogens may come to surface. And in such a case, we do not know what threat we may be seeing. And now let's come back to the NCERT chapter from where this talk started, that disease can never be entirely eliminated. We do not know how how many species or how many deadly strain we may face in the future. Then separation and loss are also endemic to human condition, some part of which is man-made. So if you do something by stupidity or by sheer anger, this is a man-made consequence, like climate change, global warming, some of which is man-made, some of which is anthropogenic. That it this condition has been initiated and run by us. So the outcomes or the consequences are what we can blame on us. But they are something that we do not know. The something or some suffering that is not made by man are not initiated or desired by us. So in such separation, losses, death, anxiety, depression, or such mental and spiritual lows, men tend to look at religion, art, and philosophy, which are responses to such suffering. And secularism accept this basic fundamental. Now, let's talk about Hinduism. So, for many years, Dalits have been barred from entering Hindu temples. So, you may have heard about the talks between Gandhi and Periyar regarding the entry of Dalits into the temples of South India. Or if you have not, you will read about them in history. So, during the dark age of ancient India, there were many atrocities that have been inflicted upon many such weaker sections, many such disadvantaged sections, and the blockage of blockage from entry into temples, not just for Dalits but also women and many such lower castes. It was one such atrocity, and still there are many temples which do not allow Hindu women. And the next thing is when religion is organized, when religions have existence as an organized entity, it is frequently taken over by its most conservative faction, which does not tolerate any dissent. So you may be thinking about what caused the boasted Indian civilization to stoop such low, that there was a time that was totally spiritually and philosophically hoisted and led by many intelligent and learned men. So how can there was a time when the the same the pristine and ancient Hindu religion could stop its own members from entering into temples or many such public places? The answer is given here that when religious takes an organized form, which happened in the during the medieval times. So when the religion started taking organized form, and it was also the time when the temple building activity it was sponsored, it was patronized by rulers, and the rulers patronized it so that they could appeal to the masses, so they could use such temples for the political gains. So it was a social political maneuver, so that the wishes, so that the greetings and hearts of people can be won. But since the organization kept spreading, it was taken over by its conservative factions, and it happened during the medieval time. And such conservative action, they do not tolerate and listen. And it also becomes palpable that such conservative factions or such fundamentalism, they resort to such a low tactic to hold a big sway over the remaining population. Now, thus, religious domination cannot be identified only with interreligious domination. It takes another conspicuous form, that is intra-religious domination. So religion has both the ills, first the interreligious and the other is intra-religious domination. And secularism is opposed to all forms of institutionalized religious domination. Yes, so secularism is about the opposition to any forms of domination that is perpetrated by or that is initiated and done by institutionalized religious domination. Now, the general idea of secularism, it is a normative doctrine. So it is simple concept that seeks to realize a secular society or a society that is free from both interreligious and interreligious domination. Or in positive, it promotes freedom within religion. So every religion, it this is a moral dimension of the concept of secularism, that it seeks that people can live peacefully, that uh, there is freedom within religion, there is peace between peace interreligiously and intra-religiously. Now let's talk about secular state, because we are reading politics or political theory, and politics is concerned about what is chosen and what is decided by people. It's politics is about people. So it is because of people's choice that state came into existence. And now, since the state is the biggest authority that has all it takes, it has all the power, it has the forces, it has the weapons, it has the administrative machinery, it has the manpower, it has the financial and other such resources. So the state itself has been created so that a group of people who on their differences, or who because of their own incapacity cannot function or cannot execute what is best for the whole group. So that's why state has been created. Now when comes into action, the moral dimension, it may be intensified, the moral dimension, it may be called upon, it may be stressed upon, but the state, it has to work in another way. Yes, one way of preventing religious discrimination to work to go together for mutual enlightenment. So that's why I said it's the talks here, or the explanation here is the uh, convincing people morally. So the first way we can prevent such religious discrimination is to start such a mutual enlightenment. And education is one way of helping to change the mindset of people. And we also know that state has enormous public power, and it is also unlikely that mere education or goodness of people, or uh, the invoking people's morality, it can eliminate such religious discrimination. So the state, the powerful authority, or the authority that is created for such purpose, it should be called into action. Now, how should a state prevent domination by any religious group? So for a start, at first, state must not be run by heads of any particular religion. Yes. So to prevent such any religious domination, the state or the political authority, the government, in our case, the government of India, it should not be run by any particular head, by any particular religious head. And but if a state is run by priestly class or run by a priest, This state is known as theocratic, such as take the example of Iran. It is a theocratic state, or the papal states of Europe, or the Taliban control Afghanistan. So all these are example of theocratic states, and in which there is no difference or no separation between religious and political affairs. And when states are run by theocracy, they will exacerbate or they will highlight and exploit such hierarchies or intensify them. And such intensification of hierarchies will lead to oppression of some people, because if there is hierarchy, there will be people which are higher, and there will be some those are lower. So in such a hierarchy, the higher groups will definitely exploit the lower people, and this will lead to oppression, and freedom of religion will be jeopardized. Yes, some people think that separation of state and religion is sufficient for existence of particular state. So if this idea has been brought into existence and then put into law, this can this merely be sufficient to ensure that a secular state has been established? No, this will not. Example is given here. Many states which are not theocratic continues to have a close alliance with a particular religion, such as the state of England in 16th century. Even though it was a monarchy and had its own government, it, it was not run by any priestly class, but it favored Anglican Church. Anglican Church means the Church of England. So it favored Church of England, and it established Anglican religion at its official religion. And today, Pakistan has an official state religion known as Sunni Islam, and many such theocracies of Middle East, they have their own official religions. Now, to be truly secular, a state must not refuse to be theocratic, but also have no formal legal alliance with any religion. So the sentence, it is saying that religion and state, religion and politics, both should be separated. A secular state must be committed to principles and goals which are least partly derived from non-religious sources. And sentence means that a secular state which runs on politics, it should have its working parameter. Those are based on constitution or legal or people's deliberated upon principles. They should not be derived from any religious source. And such principles are peace and religious freedom, from religious grounded operations, discrimination, exclusion, and as also interreligious and interreligious equality. So such principles, which in short, in encapsulated form, means that the the affairs of religion, they should promote the ideas of politics or ideas of a democratic society. So religion itself should function according to the democratic practices or democratic principles that has been agreed upon by people. Now there we are talking about the two models of secularism. The first one is Western model of secularism. So the American model or the Western model, which says separation of religion and state is a mutual exclusion, which means that both state and religion, they will not intervene into their own affairs. Both stand separated. Religion will not the state will not intervene in the affairs of religion, and religion will not interfere in the affairs of state. So this is a clear separation between both the spheres. Yes. Second, the state cannot aid any religious institution. So this in this American model, the state or the government, it will not help any religious institution. It will not give financial support to educational institutions run by religious communities. and nor it will hinder the activities of any religious communities as long they are within the broad limits set by law. It means it will not be any uh, resorting to criminal activities. Other than that, there will be a clear separation. So, according to the American model or according to the Western model of secularism, religion is a private matter, not the matter of state polity. Yes, and why is that the case? Why is the Western model of secularism being established on such clear separative principle? It is because most Western society, most of Europe and America, it had a history in which religious homogeneity continued for a long time. So right now it may be that many such countries they are either Christian or atheist or any such form of homogeneous religion. So there wasn't any need for interreligious domination or to prevent such interreligious discriminations. So naturally, all these states they focus on the Western model of secularism. It focused on interreligious domination. There wasn't any need to emphasize or to cleave between interreligious issues. And now the final, this form of mainstream secularism has no place for idea of state-supported religious reforms. It means these church or the religion and state are separated in such a way that state will never seek or state will never draw out any religious reform, however um, strange or however unstately any religious custom is. So these are the basic elements of Western model of secularism. Now talk about Indian model of secularism. So what makes Indian secularism distinctive? So for a start, it arose in the context of deep religious diversity that predated the advent of Western modern ideas and nationalism. So the basis of the Indian version of secularism, it had its roots in the ancient culture of India, ancient culture of Indian subcontinent, which favored tolerance. And let me tell you how. So the ancient culture, which may have started around pre-Vedic age, that is around 2000 BC, and from that time onwards, we have had multiple bouts of foreign entries, multiple bouts, such as our country, India. It has been inhabited by people from outside, such as Kushanas, the Romans, those who came along with um, Alexander, Romans and Greeks. Then came the Huns. Then came the Mongols, Turks, Afghans. I forgot to mention Shakas here. Afghans, Persians, Mughals, French, Portuguese, Danish, and English. And somewhere I forgot to mention Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians that are known as Parsis now, Zoroastrians and Jews. So this will take the count to 15. So these are the 15 groups of foreign entries have that had entered India, and the Indian subcontinent accepted them, and the foreign entries except the British, all of them, they they existed here. They accepted when we accepted them, they accepted us. So it was a two-way road in 14 out of 15 entries. So whether it was Kushana or Shaka, the Romans or the Huns, the Mongols, Turks, all of them, they they accepted us, and as a countermeasure, they had been accepted by us. So they mixed within the Indian subcontinent. So all such entries, the 14 out of 15 entries, they were mixed. Only the British, they came with a malicious motive, and that's how we uh, fought them. That's why they were not entertained as the rest of the 14. Now, when I talk about the admixture of the 14 foreign entries, the admixture, it even though it was a two-way road, even though it was a two-way acceptance, but ultimately it bred a culture of tolerance that in India, everyone who accept the soil, everyone who accept the climate and the people here, they can live here, they can mix up here, but if they have their own ways, they will have to accept the ways of others. So they will have to learn to tolerate others. So this element was here, this element was present in India since the ancient times. And this is the lens by which we need to look at the Indian version of secularism. Now, the advent of Western modernity brought to the fore hitherto neglected and marginalized notion of equality in Indian thought. So earlier, during the ancient time, um, there was a concept of tolerance. There was admixture of different populations, but there also existed sheer oppression, sheer hierarchies. So the notion of equality, it was absent, such as the concept of Brahmanism, in which the Kamin Jajman relationship. So it was a relationship in which the Jajman or the Brahmin, it sits atop every other section of society, and every other section of society, it helped the Brahmin or the Jajman in various ways. So a cobbler used to provide shoes to the Brahmin, a farmer used to provide grains and farm produces. And in return, Jajman, he used to read sacred books to them. He used to perform customs, the yajna for them. So, in such a relationship, and if it's seen along with the ancient caste system, so all those who were born in their own caste, they did not have such easy mobilization, or even if they have an aspect of mobility, such mobilization was um, not easily available. So a deeply ingrained system of hierarchy was there, notion of hierarchy was there. But the advent of Western modernity, along with the four European colonizers, the French, the British, the Portuguese, and the Danish, so all of them, they brought here the ideas of the equality, liberty, justice, and these ideas, they help us focus on equality within the community. So this ushered the ideas of inter-community equality to replace the notion of hierarchy which was prevalent during the ancient time. So as I have said, the ancient civilization, it may have other such beautiful attributes, but it also has its own ugly side, such as the caste system and its operations. So this hierarchy, it was challenged by such modern ideas, and the Indian version of secularism, it took a distinct or different form, and it was a result of an interaction between the attributes of Indian society that already existed and the ideas that came out of Western interaction. So that's why the Indian version of secularism, it gives equal focus on inter-religious and inter-religious domination. And right now, let's talk about the, the elements of Indian secularism. The first one is that it gives equal focus to both inter-religious and inter-religious domination. So even within Hinduism, Dalits and women, they are given equal place. And the same with the Muslims and Christian, they are also seen equally by Indian version of secularism. The second point is that Indian secularism does not deals not only with religious freedom of individual but also with religious freedom of minority communities. So it is not just about majority. Indian secularism, it gives equal place to religious minority, and they have a right to exist and maintain their own culture and educational rights. This has been taught, discussed and given by the nationalist leader and has been given a good place in the constitution in the part 3 fundamental rights from article 15 to 29 or 15 to 30. Now the third element is that since a secular state must be concerned equally with the intra-religious domination, so domination that exists within the religions, Indian secularism has made room for compatible with the idea of state-supported religious reforms. So it means since intra-religious or the domination that exists within a religion or within different sections of a religion, in that case, Indian secularism says that the state, the government, it can make such reforms so that all sections of such particular religion, they can be brought into parity, they can be given equality. So for that matter, Indian constitution banned untouchability, Article 17, and Indian constitution has enacted several laws to abolish child marriage, on intercaste marriage, and to allow entry of Dalits and women into temples. The fourth element is that the secular character of the Indian state government is established by virtue of fact that Indian state is neither theocratic and nor it has been established by any religion. So it has adopted an equalizing policy, a sophisticated policy. So the elements of its policy are that at first it may disengage with any religion in American style. So the Indian secularism, first it maintains a principled distance from all religion or all sections of uh, religious diversity. So first it is principled distance, and the second element that it will engage if required. So it's a kind an elastic relationship between Indian state and religion. The first, it maintains distance. It will not intervene, nor it supports any intervention in government affairs from any from any religion or religious authority. But second, if any religion or any section of religion, if it is promoting any discrimination or unlikely practice, the state can suggest or make reforms. So this elastic relationship is the fourth point. Now the fifth point, the Indian state may engage with religious negatively to oppose religious tyranny. Yes. So this reform dimension, it takes the form that if any religion, it is promoting such violent form or promoting injustice, in such a case, Indian state may take such actions, but there is also positive mode of engagement. So in this elastic relationship, both positive and negative actions can be taken. So in negative actions, it can be an action of force to make some reform or to stop any religion from taking an unlikely road. But the positive dimension is that Indian Constitution grants all religious minorities the right to establish and maintain their own education institution which may receive assistance from the state. So this these rights, this group of rights from Article 25 to 30, these are about the protection of religious and cultural minorities, and these are fundamental rights. Let's talk about the criticism of Indian secularism. The first criticism that has been subjected to Indian version of secularism is the accusation of being anti-religious. So yes, secularism is against institutionalized religious domination, but it is not anti-religious. Yes, and again, it has been argued that the secularism threatens religious diversity. So first, if a state does not concern itself about any religious identities, so how such religious identities can be threatened? And if the argument is regarding that the state promotes religious minority on the stake of religious majorities, such arguments are unfounded because that will not happen or that cannot happen anywhere. How can religious minorities can be promoted by state itself or by taking the ire of majorities? And the explanation here is that secularism promotes religious freedom and equality. So it protects rather than threaten any religious identity. Now the second is that second criticism is that it is linked to Christianity, and if it is linked to Christianity, it is Western in origin and unsuited to Indian condition. But this is a shallow argument because that for a state to be truly secular, it must have ends of its own. So Western state, when they challenge the control of established religious authority over social and political life. Yes, it is about uh, the origin of the argument over Western linkage of Indian secularism. So first, why would any country would uh, would take a secular stance from a religious one, or why would any country would likely make their state secular if they can have a religious state? So the argument is that Western state became secular when they found that the religion is not good for social and political life, and they challenged the control of religion over social and political life when they found it is harming them, and so it is because of that revolution, that challenge, the Western model of secularism was born. In the same way, yes, the Indian citizen, the Indian version of secularism, it born of its own condition. We have our roots in the ancient civilization. So this concept, it was not borrowed or not taken by Christianity or any other religion. And how can it be linked to Christianity when the Western nation, they themselves oppose their own the Christianity or the religious authority over their political life? So if they themselves shed the religious connection between the state and their own life, how will the Indian secularism it can borrow the same the discarded version of state life? Now, a secular state may keep a principled distance from religion to promote peace between communities, and it may also intervene to protect the right of communities. Yes, so that's how secularism supposed to work. That first you keep the distance, but second you may protect the rights of all such diverse communities. So in the West, it was the church-state separation, but India, the idea of peaceful coexistence, between different religious community. So this the parameters upon which both of both the versions originated, they are different. The Western model, it born out of church and state tussle. It born out of the the revolution. It born out of the Renaissance period in which people challenged the church authority, because church got so many privileges that it started um, start interfering into people's life, and it brought upon them a darkness, a religious, educational, psychological, and technological darkness. So church was an considered an antithema of progress. So that's why the people, they started looking at the other non-religious dimension in a neutral way. So that's how the state was born, and that's how the church and the state, they were kept separated. So this was the origin of their story. But the Indian version, it had its idea that different communities are there, different religious and diverse communities are there, and peaceful coexistence need to be ensured. Now the third criticism is that Indian secularism favors minorities. But this complaint itself, it is unfounded, which is because the most fundamental interest of minority must not be harmed and must be protected by constitutional law. Law protects everyone. The Article 14, which says equality before law and equal protection of law. So before law, everyone is equal. So a majority community and a minority community, an individual from upper caste and individual from lower caste, and and a Dalit, a woman, a Christian, a Muslim. So all of them, they are equal before law. So if constitutional authority of the constitutionalism, constitutional principles, if they are favored, they will not deprive any people or any individual, any community of their rights. So why would the minority will be harmed? Their rights will be protected. So if constitution is protecting people, this cannot be called favoritism. This is how countries are run. So minority rights are justified as long as these are protect fundamental interests. So individual, whoever section they belong to, they have their own life. They are equal before law, and the law will protect everyone. So at this point, someone might still say that minority rights are special privileges. So and they cost the majority, but this is not the case. To make a separate arrangement for them. So if minorities such as some disabled people, so if a ramp is made for the disabled, those who cannot walk, so this arrangement of ramp or this construction of ramp for those people, it cannot be called a special arrangement or a special privileges. It is just to make it convenient for them, to make it accessible for them to take services, to move, to employ all such equal services which are uh, enjoyed by or which are um, consumed by able-bodied people. So this is equality or parity dimension. So in the same way, if religious minority, if are they are given any rights, they are not given any special treatment. So it is to treat them with same respect and divinity with others are being treated. So these minority rights should not be viewed as special privileges. The fourth criticism is interventionist, so which says that secularism forces, it interferes with the religious freedom of communities. Yes, But on the contrary, Indian secularism rejects non-interference in religion. Yes, it promotes a principled distance. Yes, but it will also intervene. It is interventionist in the case the the religious affairs, the religious customs or religious activities that are harmful to people or individuals. So Indian secularism follow the concept of principled distance, yes, which is non-interference, non-intervening in nature. But it will also intervene if the reforms are needed. So Indian secularism permits state-supported religious reforms if the time needed them, such as the ban on untouchability or the child marriage. So we know that child marriage is unhealthy for the child bride, for the family, and for the child that is born out of such wedlock. So if the a particular religious practice, the child marriage, if it is unhealthy, if it is harmful, so the state, the government, it can intervene in it. Yes, but this is not a forceful or coercive intervention. Next, a secularist might see the personal laws. Personal laws are those which are concerned with marriage, inheritance, properties. So someone might see them as manifestation of community-specific rights that are protected by constitution. But case here is personal laws can be seen as manifestation of freedom from interreligious domination. Yes, so personal law, if they are particularized, personal law, if they are regularized, they are a manifestation of personal freedom. Since uh, the laws regarding marriage, law regarding inheritance, laws regarding property, adoption, they are um, religious in nature right now. So, for example, take the case of marriage, divorce, and inheritance. So, in present case, all such personal laws, they are governed by their respective religious laws. But to bring parity among people, or to uh, bring equality among people, or to promote the ideas of constitutionalism, it is likely that such personal laws, whether they regard marriage or divorce or inheritance or adoption, they should have they should be freed from the clutches of individual religions, which is because the times have changed, and in the present times, the these personal laws, they they make it really they take a detour, a long detour, and they make it expansive. They make it uh, lengthy and frustrating affairs for people to seek any such services, especially by the religious authorities. See, if you seek any services from government, if you seek uh, any such justice or any legal respite from government, so the constitution mandates it. So you are legally entitled to speedy and just services. You have courts for them, and all such civil and criminal laws, all such civil and criminal activities, they are serviced by and looked after by a pillar of government known as judiciary. And the judiciary, it will not favor anyone, since law, it sees everyone equal. So the precedent or the resource that has been looked into by the judiciary to resolve such disputes or to provide such respite and services, the source will be the older laws and the constitution itself, or the legal dictionary. The source will not be the interpersonal rivalry or the ancient customs or the caste section or the caste rules. But since if these personal laws, which concern marriage, divorce, inheritance, maintenance, and adoption, all such personal law, they are catered to by religious authorities. So you are seeking speedier services, but it takes a long detour. It makes it lengthy and frustrating, and it is also unequalizing. Because some sections or some religious they make it, they may hasten the process. They may make these services readily available to their members. So it is a good endeavor. But many such communities are there in which such personal laws they are very tough to get. So and the relief from such services that are not available with the judiciary, or the access to judiciary, or you know a just reward is not available under many such personal laws. So that's why the talks of bringing these personal law into legal ambit has been going on for a lot many years. You may have heard about Article 44 that talk about the Universal Code, the UCC. So the UCC is nothing but that these personal law they will be brought into a common legal code. So the provisions of marriage, inheritance, maintenance, adoption, all will be equally applicable to all Indian citizens, irrespective of their religious affiliations. But such such endeavor it is being opposed by many people because they saw it as an intervention in their religious affairs. So, but according to my point of view, that these personal law are already irreligious in nature. They are one of the legal aspect if they are seen in this way. They are legal and they should be governed by some legal or at least religiously neutral principles. Personal law can be reformed in such a way that they continue to exemplify both minority rights and equality between men and women. So it is about bringing them into folds of constitutionalism, and constitution itself look them or pairs them according to law, and law itself is based on the principle of equality and liberty. Yes, but such reform should neither be brought about by the state, yes, because that will be a major intervention and it will be opposed by many religious sections. So state must act as a facilitator by supporting liberal and democratic voices. Now the fifth accusation is vote bank politics, that secularism encourage the politics of vote banks. First, in a democratic society, politicians are bound to seek votes. They will ask for votes, and which point they ask their vote about, it is the real question. So, if are they asking votes to promote their self-interest or to gain power, or is it about welfare of the whole group? So, if it is about the later, if they are asking vote so that they can ensure welfare of a particular religious community or a group, it is okay. But if they are asking for votes for self-interest or power or any other discriminatory means, they should be shunned out. So if secular politicians who sought the votes of minority also provide them welfare benefits, so it is the success of secular projects. Yes, now there is also another question. If the interests of majority are undermined by those secular politicians, so it is an unfounded argument because this will not happen. Minorities are already very few, and The services or the welfare benefits that are sought by them will be in proportion to their population. So if they are 8% or 15%, their benefits that can be given to them by the coffers of state, because state itself has a limited treasury that can be calculated. So even if those secular politicians they work for the welfare of such minorities, the percentage of benefits that flow to them, it will be according to the population, the percentage of population. So the majority they can rest assured. So 80% of any country's majority, 80% of resources will be reserved for them. This is plain mathematics. It will not happen that the 8% minority they will be given the 80% resources. So it is a fool's dream which will never come true. Now the final accusation is that secularism cannot work because it tried to do too much to find a solution to intractable problem. So, and the problem is that India is a deeply religiously diverse society, and people with such religious differences can never live together in peace. Yes, but in the history of Indian civilization, it has shown that such dream is realistic and it is realizable. Uh, One more thing, Indian secularism mirrors the future of the world. Yes, this great experiment of ensuring peaceful coexistence between the different colors of diversity or different religious communities, it is a great experiment that has started during the freedom struggle after the establishment of the Indian National Congress, when people from different folds they started coming together. So this this experiment is started in 1885. It was given a form in 1947, and now this experiment, which has been running on for more than 75 years, it is being watched by razor sharp eyes from the whole world. The whole world is watching this experiment if India can ensure the coexistence of such diverse people or such deep differences. And this is so because after the intensification of globalization, Europe, America, and many such tech-led world, even the Middle East, they uh, many people have migrated to those countries. They have mm, they have accommodated different people as they have done in the past 1,000 years or 2,000 years. So they also started welcoming different state or different walks of people, different sections of people. And such countries right now, they are resembling the diversity of India. Let's take a case of America, USA. So USA, the market of the world. So right now there are Asians there are Koreans, Indians, people from Middle East, people from Africa, people from Russia, people from Germany. So all people from all biological races, all culture, they can be found in USA. So, so the society of USA is started resembling the culture, the society of India. So, in such a case, the society are watching the future of Indian experiment if it becomes successful, or and if they keep allowing such diversity to flourish, will they be able to maintain the peace or coexistence within their own countries? That's it. Thank you very much.